Yeah, a very good afternoon, my brothers and sisters, members of the media fraternity. Kazwai vana veZimbabwe vari kufollowa presa ino kumativi mane enyika yeZimbabwe nevari kunze kwenyika. Firstly, I would want to thank you members of the press for coming to cover this presser at a very short notice. I really appreciate your presence per press conference inoi. So it's going to be a very brief presser where I'm going to touch on the key issues dzaita kuti ndidanire presser inoi. Chekutanga is when one says Godfrey Tsenengamu, there were things that I was associated with in the past. Zvinotisiyane zvichibva nekuti wainditarisa from which angle. So I'm coming in today to say to Zimbabweans, I'm starting on a new journey. The old Tsenengamu ari kusara from this minute, and the new Tsenengamu is taking over from this minute tichienda kumberi. Nditsenengamu upa aizikamwa nevanhu. Nditsenengamu aizikamwa nekudanira mapresa ema-factional fights within ZANU-PF, siding with one faction, or Tsenengamu aidanira mapresa on the political developments dzinenge dzichiitika munyika, or Tsenengamu aizikamwa being associated with certain individuals and certain causes. And that comes to an end today. There was a Tsenengamu who had fallen out of favor with a number of people because of his approach in politics. There was a Tsenengamu who just believed in saying things as they are. I would just say out my opinion and view. And you know, those were days of being youth, where you are being adventurous, where you try 1, 2, 3 things. I've been in politics for the past 20 years or so, basically being in ZANU-PF. I've been involved in a number of things, good and bad. I've said a lot of things, good and bad. I've championed causes, both good and bad. Some of the things that I'm proud of, then other things that I'm not proud of. But there comes a time when you then mature and say, I can't be seen all over, doing everything, being controversial all the time. I have to commit myself to a cause or two. I have to start building my legacy, other than being known for fighting wars on behalf of certain individuals or certain factions or a certain grouping of people. I'm a family man. I'm now 42. So it's high time I have to chart my own way and build my own legacy. Be known for pushing positive things for the betterment of the society. So before I get into the details of the real reason for this presser, I would want to say a new Tsenengamu must then be different from the old Tsenengamu. I created a lot of enemies in the past. I said a lot of things, some of which were not maybe necessary at some point to certain individuals. So in what I'm going to say and embark on from today, it requires me to be working with everybody across the divide. So I cannot carry that old Tsenengamu into the new era. So I would want to take this opportunity to therefore apologize to individuals I have offended in one way or the other. I'm not shy to say sorry to anybody who feels that I've crossed their path or I have offended them. And I will not run away from the fact that there are certain individuals whom I know by name, against whom I might have said certain nasty things, which in my view, after taking time to introspect, you then say, this was not necessary. There were certain things that I might have said out of anger and bitterness. And I would want to use this opportunity to withdraw such nasty words or insults that I said at any individual. And these individuals include President Emmerson Mnangagwa. I would like to say to him, I'm very sorry for sometimes being rude, saying things that were not called for. I agree, we might have had some fallouts in terms of how we saw things at some point. But I should have maintained my respect to him as a fatherly figure. Because I'm young, he's 82, I'm 42. I should have known that besides the differences, he's a father figure to me. So my disrespect to him or certain words that I uttered against him were not necessary at some point. And that is the basis of my apology to him as my father. I'm not asking for any favors from him, but as a young person, I think it's not necessary to have a reputation of crossing paths with almost everybody. It's not. I came to realize that we can differ, but differ with respect. We can disagree, but disagree with respect. I might not be in agreement with his way of doing things, and that's my right. But I don't think it's necessary to insult him. I have also said nasty things against my brother, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, when I was in politics. He's a brother to me. Was it necessary? No, it wasn't. I should have respected him as a brother and respected his position in society. So as a young brother to him, I'm here to say, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing to these individuals because they are leaders in their own ways, in the institutions that they lead. I may disagree with them in terms of their ideologies or their approach on a number of issues, but I want to say to my young brothers who are following in our footsteps in politics that you must learn to differ with individuals and be respectful. Push your ideas, push your views, but restrain yourselves from uttering words which may cause unnecessary friction between you and those you disagree with. And I'm doing this also because I'm going to be working with certain individuals who were not part of what I did in the past. So I don't want them to inherit the grudges that I had in the past. I don't want them to be part of the things that I did in the past. We must be starting on a clean sheet. I must be free to go and see whoever I want to see, be it President Mnangagwa, be it Advocate Chamisa, be it Vamohadi, be it Vachiwenga, be it Chabangu or whoever. I must be free to interact with everybody. And no one must feel like the old Tsenengamu is not a good person to be associated with. So this is one matter that I wanted to address before I then get into the details of why I called for this presser. I think you all came across some utterances by Vice President Chiwenga regarding the levels of corruption in this country. He went further to say corruption has become a security threat. And this is what some of us saw 4 years ago when I was still the National Political Commissar of ZANU-PF Youth League. When we came out to say, so and so are not doing things right. And what happened is all our leaders ganged up against us and chased us out of the party. But well, that is in the past. But all I'm trying to say now is, I'm happy that with a majority of people, now we are on the same page. That we agree that the levels of corruption in this country, dzakusemesa. Some of us never anticipated that corruption will get to the levels that tiri kuona. We also, my issues, the cost server, which is alleged to have been bought on behalf of some institution. Look at the thousands, the percentages, akapetwa, pakuchargwa kwakaitwa that server. And that happened. You guys from the media brought it to the fore. You exposed it. But Zimbabweans continued like it's business as usual. There are a number of things that you have exposed in the media about corruption, about the looting that is going on, where people are looting like nyika yeZimbabwe iruda kuvarwa mangwana. Vanhu munotokwira ndege pa-airport, mototi ndege yakuda kusimuka ipinde murunway, motozonzonzi dzikai kuti chii chaitika, kunzi ngana adzura vhiri ndege haichagona kusimuka, otoonekwa achitofamba achitoenda. And we have normalized that as Zimbabweans. Ukafirwa nhasi izvozvizvi kuti mapurisa auye nekukasira kunozotora bhodhi kumba kwenyu, unofanira kutobuditsa kamari. So ukaenda kuchipatara kunorapwa, even mapirisa aripo, the hospital staff will tell you kuti hapana, but ndine munhu wandinoziva anokwanisa kukunzira ine cheaper price. You have to pay. Kuti ugoitirwa post-mortem on your dead relative, you have to pay. Or else inoita 2 months or 3 months isati yaitwa. MaZimbabweans are asisina shame. So we have seen corruption iri kuitika in the public and the private sectors. We have seen corruption iri kuitika across the political divide, in the ruling party, in the opposition party. We have seen public officials being corrupt and doing so with impunity. There is no transparency, there is no accountability. People who are rising to positions of leadership are doing so for purposes of wanting to get closer to national coffers so that they can steal. Because vazhinji vabatwa nepfungwa yekuti tiri pa-last supper. I saw it even when we tried to come up with a political party, the Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe. You start to see vanhu vanga vari close newe, the moment yaunotanga kutaura language yekuti hatisi kuda vanhu vanoba panapa, you start becoming an enemy to your very own comrades. Because people get involved in leadership, get involved in public service so that they have an opportunity to steal. And when you don't steal, unoita kunge wakapusa kunza, unaona Tsenengamu, panga uri Central Committee pa uri National Political Commissar, you wasted an opportunity. And look at how corruption has ravaged our societies. You cannot take a license without corruption. You can't get passport or even kudindisa passport yako pa Bait Bridge usina kumbobudisa something. Haugone kudarika parodi usina kutsvagirwa mhosva yaunonzi you must pay $30. But tinogona ngotaurirana ingosiyai 10 mudhara yedrink. Those are small matters that tiri kusangana nadzo every day. But kune zhinji dziri kuitika on a daily basis in government, in the public sector, in the private sector. But issue yevanhu ndeyekuti vazhinji vanga vari ngoti even mamwe ma-institutions acho that have been mandated to deal with corruption naiwo wacho atovawo corrupt futi, because vanouya kwauri vokuti uri kuona kesi yako yecorruption, but you know we can find a way of managing it, then waakutofanirwa kuchibuditsa. So the question yatasara taanayo ndeyekuti who is going to guard the guard? So tiri kuuya kunotaura maZimbabweans kuti I'm happy that the political leadership is now coming on board. We hope they are sincere and mean what they say, because the problem ema politicians ndeyekuindicate left vachitena right. That's the problem. Zvaanotaura kuti ari kuda anogona kunge asingatodi, zvaari kuti haasi kuda anogona kunge achitoda. So Zimbabweans must, I'm here to tell Zimbabweans kuti it's high time we must work together to fight this menace of corruption. We tried it when we formed the Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe, but we realized that you cannot fight corruption effectively under the banner of a political party, because as much as your effort is noble, it will be taken like you are doing it for political expediency, for political opportunism. You are doing it because you want to score certain political goals against certain individuals or certain political institutions. So this is the reason why I decided to inini zvepolitics hama dzangu ndakadziitawo for the 20 years I was in ZANU-PF, ndatry opposition politics, ndokubva ndaona kuti type yepolitics dziri muno, to be honest, handizikwanisa handizikoni, because hadzidi vanhu vari honest, hadzidi vanhu vari sincere, hadzidi vanhu vari principled, hadzina ma-ideas, ndedze kufollowa a favorite political party or a favorite individual, whether vane ma-ideas or a cause that they pursue. So ini ndakaona kuti nema-principles angu, nema-values angu, and what I believe in, politics, that's not my field. I might be there kungopusha agenda dzevamwe nekudi, but hakuna chinobatika chekuti after years unozoti panguva yandakanga ndiri active on these things, this is what I managed to achieve. So we have fully activated the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizens Task Force, which we registered some 4 years ago, but which we had not activated and operationalized. It is a legally registered institution which can report any individual to the rightful authorities. Remember, we have the police. Kuna police anti-corruption unity. There is the special anti-corruption unity. There is the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. So we are coming in, mobilizing, organizing, and uniting citizens. The Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizen Task Force being the mouthpiece, Yevan, where we are going to be exposing corruption like no one's business. We are going to be whistleblowing big time. No sacred cows. We don't care whether you are from this party or that political party. We don't care whether you have the support of that powerful individual or this powerful individual. We are not going to be fighting against institutions. We are going to be fighting against corrupt individuals. So, zvekuti you belong to a political party, unless political party yacho iriyo yakutuma kuti ube, then tinorova tsuro negwenzi rayo. But for as long as tine facts neumpo wekuti wapara mhosva se-individual, we are going to take you to the cleaners. We will report you to the police and make a follow-up with the police. Vachita investigations avo, isusu tine edu information yatakabata. Hatisi kuzongoita zvinhu zvenjake. We have assembled a good team yevanhu vakanga vari musecurity who have retired, who have experience in terms of working in the law enforcement agencies. Vamwe vakanga vari ku CID nevamwe vakanga vari kune mamwe departments. We have assembled that team. But for their security and safety, we are not going to be saying out their names because we want them to be able to operate without being victimized. Isusu vamwe tisina chokuzenza. But ava vachine ganda dete tinovasiya vari kumashure ikoko vachioperata zvakanaka. We have assembled a team of lawyers because when we sat down, we agreed kuti at one point we might need to pursue avenues of private prosecution. If those mandated with the duty to prosecute show their unwillingness to prosecute, as the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizens Task Force, we are going to seek a certificate in private prosecution and provide the basis and justification why we want to move in that direction. So we are going to be whistleblowing, like I said. From tomorrow, we are going to open up 2 lines, the hotlines, a Net 1 line and an Econet line, where we want citizens to tell us what's happening wherever they are. Toendesa kumapurisa, toendesa kuzaki, toendesa kusaku. Then we start making my follow-ups. Kana vatinenge tapa nyaya dzeumbavha nehuori huri kuitika, vakange vasina kudzisimudza, then we take it up. We are also going to be making my tip-offs. Information yatabata kana uri kutya kuti pabasa pedu oro company yakati oro pa next pedu oro hama yangu iri involved in corruption. We will protect your identity. You just give us the information. But tiri kuzoita pursue ma cases atinenge tine umpo nawo nechokwadi nawo ekuti zvechokwadi apa pane zvakashata zviri kuitika. So when we give cases to Zach, we will record down. Tovapa reference number, totora reference number yavo yekuti va record a case. We make a follow up with them every time. Tichida kunzwa kuti nyaya yapapi. Nyaya yapapi. Kana nyaya ya kuma courts, tonoifollowa. Tikangoona kuti there is something amiss in the way this corruption case is being handled before the courts, we will also raise an alarm and say tine uchapupu wekuti nyaya yakati iri kuitwa zvakati ichisanganisira muchuchisi nengi na magistrate nengi oro na judge nengi oro nemupurisa ngana. Tobva tabudisa ma V11. We know kuti mubasa ratiri kuzoita starting today, malawsuits achawanda evanhu vachenge vachiti matishibisa mazodini maita zvakati. So we have set up a competent team yevanhu legal experts vari kumashure vanenge vachi, before we attack an issue, they will give us legal advice on the best way to handle those issues. But kana zvazo ipisisa taendesa kumatare edzimhosva, they will stand in to defend our just fight against corruption. So kana uri kutya kuzivikanwa, tauya as the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizens Task Force, legally registered, now fully operational, with competent teams behind the scenes. Just give us that information. We are going to be giving out the hotline numbers, our email addresses, our WhatsApp numbers, our Facebook pages, every platform of communication we are going to open up so that we feed Zimbabweans every time as it happens. Pane case yakati yatinogona kupa detail rese topa detail rese, imwe yatisingagone kupa detail so that we don't jeopardize my investigations, tinongotaura zvakakodzera so that Zimbabweans know. So we are not going to be working against the government. We are not anti-government, no. We are anti-corruption. We are not anti any political party. We are anti-corruption. We are not pro or anti any political or party faction. We are Zimbabweans from diverse backgrounds who want to rid Zimbabwe of corruption and looting and make sure that we create a corruption-free society in our lifetime. So, those vanga vachindiziva nekuita zvimwe, I'm a changed person. If you are to engage with me on three things: anti-corruption activism, economic empowerment activism, which we are going to be pushing through another legally registered entity, the National Affirmative Action Assembly of Zimbabwe. And the last one, the third area where you find me is philanthropy. Izvi zvepolitics zvekuti ndikuda kuita kansela, ndoda kuita MP, burugwara uyu rine chigamba, uyu ane mahobi, koko tasira ovariko. Sarai muchirwisana, muchidini, muchita sei. But kana muri kutora positions muchifunga kuti you are going to get mukana wekuzoba, tiri kuzonofumurana nemi zviri serious. So I've talked about whistleblowing, hotlines, tip-offs, case reporting and referrals to relevant authorities, facilitation of private prosecution. We are going to be red flagging. We are going to name and shame. Tikaona kuti taendesa to the rightful authorities, vari kuvhikira mbavha, oro vari kunzi iyi haibatwe iyi, munongonzwa takudanirai kuti uyai tine nhapitapi yemashoko tokuturirai kuti mukurungana ndiye ari kufacilitata chimbavha pakati, umboo ndeuhu, musapublishe musina umboo, ngana ndiye ari kuita zvakati, ngana ndiye ari kuita zvakati. Kana aine nharo ngatisangane nezact kumatare edzimhosva. We are ready for that. Then, like I said, you are also going to be doing case follow-ups. Kana uine nyaya yawakaendesa kungave kuzaki, kumapurisa oro kupi, give it to us. We are going to make follow-ups on your behalf and chase it up kusvika taona kuti vanhu vaendeswa kumatare. We are also going to be lobbying the authorities to come up with mitemo isiri porous. Why? Because mitemo iri kuiswa iri kupa vanhu mukana wekuba vobva vaenda scot free, because the laws are vague and porous. But dzinobata mavenda mutauni umu hadzisi porous. Dzinobata mapickpockets hadzisi porous. Dzinobata matouts hadzisi porous. But dzinobata mbavha dziri kuvhura, dziri kudzura vhiri rendege dziri porous. So we are going to be engaging the authorities, reviewing the available pieces of legislation. This is one of our mandates as a registered institution here, the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizen Task Force. But pakazenge paita panetsa, tichazenge tokumbirawo veruzhinji kuti muye kunotibatsirawo kuma peaceful protests, kuti huyai ti protest against ngana ari pakati ari kuvhikira chimbavha, huyai pakati tidai. Those won't be anti-government protests, they will be anti-corruption protests, very peaceful. And I will be organizing that on behalf of the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizens Task Force. I am saying this knowing very well that it's not going to be a straw in the park. It's going to be really difficult because takunobvuta chingwa pamiromo yevanhu. People who were used to getting rich through deceit, through corrupt ways, through looting, and kuginya bvurira vanhu. We are going to be exposing all that. Anenge aine nyaya nesu tonosangana kumatare dzimhosva. Something that we are also going to be doing as an institution is to provide relevant mass education to the people, to conscientize them. Lastly, we will be asking for maximum support from Zimbabweans. Kuti, we are your task force. We need your support by all means necessary. In any way that you can think you can support our work morally or otherwise, so that we are able to rid Zimbabwe of this menace and monster called corruption. Nhasi ndaona kuti hatingatange nekudoma nyaya dzatinadzo dzanga dziri kushandwa nevakomana for the past 9 days or so. We are going to refer those cases to the relevant authorities. Tovapa nguva tichita follow up. But when it becomes necessary, we are going to be naming and shaming if it becomes necessary. After exhausting all other means and ways. But like I said when I started addressing, I'm not shying away from apologizing to anybody and everybody. Wandakataurira mashoko asina kunaka, wandakaita disrespect, wandaka offender. I apologize sincerely. Please find it in your hearts to forgive me. I've mentioned 2 individuals vandoziva kuti ndakambodrega in public. Pamwe pacho, you see, being out of malice, donzana mabhurukwa nevamwe, sometimes it's really necessary. I've mentioned Comrade Mnangagwa, President. I've mentioned Vachamisa, and ndakambenge ndaita taken nawo. Pamwe pacho it was not necessary. Izvo ndasiyira ma-politicians. Sarai muchidhilana kupi ikoko, aiwa inini kupolitics and sisiko. I will engage with these my leaders and any other leader with respect. And Tsenengamu wekudhara wewe haasisipo madhara angu kwaana Tsenengamu munyowani. Akudhila ne 3 issues: anti-corruption, empowerment activism, ne philanthropy. So this is basically the reason we called for this presser, to let Zimbabweans know that we have started an anti-corruption revolution. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a straw in the park. Those we are going to drag are also going to throw back matombos is serious. But we must be ready. If you think you want to be part of this initiative, please get in touch with me. We are open and ready to work with everybody. And to those who have been benefiting out of corruption, isusu toda kukuudza kuti we are rough riders. Pamwe pacho kana tikaona kuti hapashande professionalism, tinodhonzana nemi kusvika right kunyara kuba nekubira veruzhinji rwevanhu, because what you have been doing zvakosta upenyu hwevanhu, and we are ready for you. So you must know kuti it's not gonna be business as usual. And munofanira kuziva kuti kana mukaataka Tsenengamu, timu rasara kumashure uku revaferefeti nemagweta, munongoona basa richingoenda mberi, macases achingorohwa, ende pamaplatforms edu, pawebsite, Twitter, Facebook, and everywhere, nepamachannels edu epaWhatsApp, muchingorikitwa left, right, center, because kamba haisi kuzovharwa nekufa kwemujoni. So ndoda kuti ndikutendei maZimbabweans, unless paine vane mubvunzo. I know kuti vazhinji venyu you had anticipated that I'm going to delve into my issues at 2013 nechi handisisiko kupolitics, ndakasiya. Dai handichiriko izvozvi, dai ndaibata ye2030 ndafamba nayo chaizvo kuti vari kuita nezvayo vaizogutsikana, but ina handichaita izvozvo, tasiyira vamwe taakuitawo zvedu zvatakuita. Politics ndakadzitadza, ende vaya vanoseka vachiti wakakundika politics, sure I admit ndakadzitadza. Iyi type yepolitics idzi ndakadzitadza, dzebootlicking nedzekunyeperana idzi ndakadzitadza, handidzikwanise. Sarai muite, isusu taakuita zvimwe. Thank you my brother.